don't want Angel Reese to be the one coming at her, and they use ethnicity as the rationale behind it. Again, very few compared to the many who wouldn't do that, but it is that kind of hate.
She mocked Caitlin Clark.
Today, we're taking a look at one of the most heated rivalries in the WNBA. A rivalry that is more than just about numbers or medals, but about feelings, society, and the inextinguishable will to win. All eyes are drawn to Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. The very core of this rivalry has not only created social unrest, but also debates and discussions all over the internet. In this aspect, we are going to analyze this rivalry not in terms of what is happening on the court, but what issues make this story so fascinating. From allegations and envy to great showdowns, this video will cover every up and down. So sit back and relax because you are in for a ride. Every bit of information pertaining to this explosive saga leaves one wanting for more. Angel Reese has long been renowned for her competitive nature and the ability to overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges. However, at the present time, she finds herself at the very eye of the storm, which is not centered on her performance on the court, but rather from what she says when she is in a spare time. Recently, however, in a podcast, Reese crossed a line regarding Clark and the reasons why fans hold a rivalry between both her and Clark, attributing it partly to race. Fans, commentators, and even other sports people started to wonder whether Reese was attempting to play the race card to mask her own afflictions. The backlash has been harsh. Some people believe that Reese's concern stems not so much from real problems of might, but from personal annoyance of being eclipsed by Clark's success. I could understand why that is the appeal for her, as she and Seance came back all lean. Some observers note that instead of improving how she plays, making the necessary changes to win the game, she has succumbed to jealousy and off-court narratives. This has resulted in a substantial amount of damage to her name, and some of the people have even gone to question Ms. Hirsch for her integrity, whether she is more than sufficiently suited herself to the task of mastering basic skills of combat-centered performance. The reader is presented with this topic when seeking to investigate how the WNBA is likely to remember Reese in future. On the one hand, under the barrage of controversy, some might say very harsh criticism directed at Angel Reese. On the other hand, Caitlin Clark rises above the storm and continues playing. Clark has been electrifying the courts with her performances that have generated steroid-like comparisons with WNBA greats. The capacity to perform and win advances even when other colleagues are given a chance to excite the crowd while she remains off the court is what endeared her most to the fans as well as the media. Even more astonishing is the fact that Clark has been able to block out all that noise and concentrate on her game. Clark's experience is one that is characterized by a number of milestones that have redefined what being a rookie in the WNBA entails. She has burned the rookie scoring records, and she is now among the leading assist players in the league, grace that is very uncommon for someone her age. While her contemporaries may be involved with the fracas, she is undeterred, with her gaze locking securely in her ambitions. Such mental resilience and strength are her winning ticket, conquering where others may fall short. Caitlin Clark's ability to not be distracted by paying attention to herself rather than the game has proven very advantageous and helpful towards achieving her set objectives. In this section, records that Caitlin Clark has broken, the awards that Caitlin Clark has received, and the reason why Caitlin Clark has not only emerged as one of the actresses on the rise, but a future icon in women's basketball will be examined. Caitlin Clark is not only innovating the way the game is played, she is reshaping the game entirely. Thanks to her breathtaking plays in every single game, the audience level for the league has increased significantly in comparison to before. Supporters of the WNBA are breathing life back into the league by traveling to arenas and watching her on TV, resulting in hefty sales of tickets and goods alike. This rise in prospective viewership, however, is not just an anomaly. There is a sustained appetite for women's sports, and the primary reason is Caitlin Clark. I see the emerging viewership as a way of expanding the current range of the WNBA fan base, where most of the new fans are not typical WNBA followers. Their attendance is injecting new blood and financial stability to the WNBA, and sponsors are beginning to line up. The feeling is that a player like Caitlin Clark could propel the WNBA to new levels. In this part, we will focus on what are the implications of Caitlin Clark's ascension, and how this not only is changing the game, but the business of the WNBA as well. Is it possible that Clark is the one to lead the WNBA to its new golden age? Yes, absolutely. There are always controversies and disagreements in the world of professional sports regarding the subject of greatness, and what separates those who are great from all the rest. What is it? Is it the ability which an individual possesses? Is it the mental strength? Or is it the press and public perception that determines an athlete's success? It is those questions that have made the rivalry of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese more relevant, especially when the debates moved on from competition to race and identity, as they have recently done with Reese. Nonetheless, a resounding majority of fans and experts agree with the assertion that Caitlin Clark is as gifted as she is hardworking. There have been doubts raised as to whether these factors have contributed to some aspects of her media exposure. Most people disagree to some extent with this because Clark's skills and achievements on the court are what define her. Time and again, she has shown to her fans and critics that she deserves the attention and not it being given to her due to factors that have nothing to do with her talent. Discussions in this section helps to explain the view that within certain domains, sports in particular, performance ought to be the only criteria determining success. We will discuss why Caitlin Clark cannot be neatly categorized within a single identity and embrace how her journey exemplifies the way sporting excellence can challenge stereotypes. Ultimately, it is Clark's talent which can shine the most in the most critical moments of every battle that clinches her appeal, not only within WNBA, but also in general sports. It is no surprise that jealousy has power, especially within the arena of sports where competition is ruthless and the prize is worth the effort. The hostile feelings expressed between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark have witnessed overwhelming interest, especially owing to her recent comments. Many young players find it intolerable to be held against a counterpart, especially one who seems to be performing better than them. It has been clear that Reese has particularly struggled with these comparisons, and it is also indicative of the unhealthy emotions that accompany such rivalries. This part addresses a related issue of jealousy in sports, which integrates psychological elements which do not assist the athlete in their endeavors. It is valid to say that her frustrations are understandable, but not being able to control such feelings in the hope of bettering her game has only increased the chasm between her and Clark. It's easy to see why Clark would want no part of such foolishness. She knows there will be a time and place to address the opposition, on the court, in a game. For now, she keeps her head down and lets her play do the talking. We will consider jealousy from the perspective of sport, both as a driving force and a weakness, and contemplate why dealing with such feelings is essential for the athlete who aims at the top. Angel Reese's story makes one take notice in itself, in that it serves as a warning of how undesirable characters bring the focus on themselves rather than on self-improvement and self-growth. The media has a helping hand as far as the image of the athletes is concerned. It is the case of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese rivalry, and the same media account them as two. It is about how Clark is praised owing to her achievements as opposed to how Reese often behaves on the onslaught due to her certain controversial commentaries towards her. This section discusses the extent to which the media can enhance and damage the reputation of the athletes depending on the narrative employed. We will examine how the consistent performances and capabilities of Caitlin Clark have enabled her to remain in the positive image of the public despite the challenges of being in the limelight. In contrast, we will examine how the media has portrayed the comments made by Angel Reese and how this has shaped her image in public. Realizing the media concerns is important for athletes who want to control their images and promote their talents and successes rather than engage in media battles. In this section, rounding up, we will also concern ourselves with the implications of the issue of coverage in sports media, concerning how it can affect the views of the society toward the athlete and even determine the course of the career of that athlete. In particular, concerning Caitlin Clark, the image and the power of the media have been gracious in assisting her to reach new heights. On the other hand, as for Angel Reese, the one feature of the media coverage has been, unfortunately, the emphasis of lack, the hyper-focus that she has had to have in order to block out all the distractions.